Alright guys, we're out here with all the wheel horses. We went ahead and pulled them all out today because I have a bit of a warm front coming through and figured we'd clean out the shop while it's still warm here. So first up we got the round hood. I got this one with some ugly yellow rims and some pretty faded paint, but it had been restored quite a few years back. So I ended up just wet sanding most of the old paint and clear coating it. And it turned out really nice actually. It came with some ags that you'll see on another tractor, but we threw these old wheel horse Carlisle style ones on here for now. And it's got a different Kohler engine in it. It didn't have a motor when I got it. And next up we got the 700. This one was restored a few years back. These stickers should be against this bottom edge here, but they're not because I messed them up. But other than that, it's been a pretty good tractor. Blake here got the motor that's in it. This would have had a Tecumseh, but they were kind of being a pain in our butt to keep running, so we put this Magnum in, and it was off a concrete mixer, and we painted it up, and it does pretty good. So we're going to try and plow with it this spring. The next up here is his newest tractor. We'll let him talk about that.
It's my 1968 Charger 12. Bought it for roughly $100. There's a cast iron sleeve hitch on the back. 12 horse Kohler, fully stripped it down, rebuilt it, half rebuilt it, just threw a new rod in it. Previous owner tried taking it apart and left bolts loose, so it ended up knocking because the backing plate wasn't on there all the way. So I took that all apart, threw whatever needed to be done in it, got a new head gasket and gasket kit on it, put a battery in it, threw a new PTO and whole lever through here on it, many other things. But overall,
and we did a wet sand clear coat on this, which turned out amazing. The paint on this is just beautiful.
Currently I'm partway going through the process of trying to reupholster the seat pan because it came with the bottom one. I still need to get a back one, but I'm gonna be redoing the seat on it, and that's about it so far.
Then I got my 10. It came from the same place this one came from. We got the blade that's on this one with it, the mid-mount and remount cultivator on that one that I'll show you guys in a minute, along with a Brindley plow, and what else was there? A tub cart. And I may show that later, although it's been in other videos. So yeah, I got the blade on here recently. The guy had cut it up to work on his four-wheeler, so I had to weld some stuff back, but this one fired up pretty easy and didn't take a whole lot of work to get it running good. It's got different rear tires on it. The original ones are on something else now, but it had the smaller size turfs that you see on like the B80s and stuff. And then it's got the 10 horse Kohler, and this one just runs amazing. It's probably one of my favorite tractors. But 8-speed, and it's the no name series, so just the 10, no letter before it, and that was a 1973 only. We've got 3 of them right here. And next up is the 12, so we'll let Blake talk about this one too because he's worked on it a lot.
This is my dad's wheel horse 12 8-speed. It's a 12 horse Kohler. It does make a lot of clanking noises from the motor because it needs new needle bearings and the balance gear. And the balance gears inside the motor.
Needs balance gears removed. But
yeah, that too. But 8-speed rear end, you know, Carlisle turfs all around. It's got the mid-mount and rear cultivator, the sleeve hitch on the back from the guy who had the Charger 12 and the 10 8-speed. It's got a snowplow bracket on there too. Not really much to talk about it, but
yeah, so this one's the 12-8, and then there's the 10-8, both 1973s, just range a bit in horsepower. Someone attempted to repaint this one probably back in the 90s with what looks like house paint, and it turned pink, so we need to restore it at some point, but that'll come a little later down the road. Next up is the 10, identical to that one, except it has an automatic transmission. And this one actually has the fake headlight bezel in it. So it's got no headlights, just a clear bezel. With 10 horsepower, this one was running a couple months ago, but it started having solenoid issues, we believe, because it would start and run for about 5 seconds and then just lose all power, and he'd have to wiggle some stuff before it'd crank again. So we're thinking solenoid because it's had issues with the solenoid before. This one's kind of always had electrical issues since we've owned it, and I think they've rewired it once, and it's mainly just old components going out. So, but we need to put some better tires back on it and throw a battery in it and get that solenoid replaced. And it's got a nice, fairly original seat. It's got the original seat back, and then this came off of a Alice Chalmers 710 I have. It was just the bottom piece with no back, and I got a different seat for it, so I stuck it on here, and it's pretty dry rotted and cracked, so I need to actually sew up a new seat pad for this, but it works for what it is. Next up is the C81. You guys have seen this around. I was hoping to be working on it probably today, but I don't think I'm going to get to it quite yet. I ended up having to use these tires on something else, and I got them back on here today. But this one's got an 8-speed, and that's the main reason I bought it. I got this for really cheap. I think it was under $100. And the original engine, I had it running for a bit, little 8-horse Kohler, but it smoked real bad, and then it broke a valve because it was just, this whole tractor was so rusty. The valve stem had actually rusted off just from moisture getting in the exhaust, because it sat outside pretty much since somewhere in the late 80s. So it's pretty roached, but the frame and everything is pretty good. So got this 14-horse Kohler at the show, and I still need to hook up the stator and then put a battery in it and make sure all our fuel system is good, because this has one of these rear tanks that are a real pain if you don't have a strong fuel pump going. But it should be going here soon, and I'd like to eventually have a plow tractor out of this, because we don't have anything above a 12-horse in the wheel horse herd here. So having a 14-horse would be nice with the 8-speed for plowing. But still got a long ways to go on it. And last year's the 856. This one's been around here a long time. We restored it back when we were pretty young. But Blake's been working on it a lot recently, so I'll let him talk about it.
This one recently blew up a while back during the summer. It started smoking one day. We took it apart and figured out the flicker on the end of the connecting rod had snapped off and was just sitting in the oil pan. The
rod cap, the little flicker that's on there to flick oil up, had just kind of cracked and fallen off, so it wasn't getting oil in the motor. And
so eventually it blew up, stopped running through the rod. Went back through all of it. I figured out in the cylinder in the bottom of it, there's these little lips where the piston comes down through there. It also cracked off part of that when the rod flew up and hit it. So this entire block is the one that actually came out of that C81. I took the old block out of this. I threw all new parts into it. It's got a completely different crankshaft from a 6-horse or 7-horse. I mean, it's top to bottom done with new connecting rod, piston, everything else in there. Carburetor and fuel pump have not been gone through neither with the starter gen, but it's all there. These front tires are from my Charger 12, and they've just been swapped for now, so because this thing doesn't move too much from its normal casual spot. And right now it's currently not running because it needs camshaft shims, because it still knocks. At least that's what we can presume it is, but until after we do that, it probably won't be doing too much around here. But
I'll probably be tearing into this engine soon, so we let Blake do the engine rebuild, and he's not had much success doing engine rebuilds. And Exhibit A, this is one of them that has not turned out great. So
it's been completely disassembled.
Whenever I get done with some of my projects, I'm going to tear into this one, but it's not real high up on my list just because it's kind of a show cruiser and not a worker, and I'm trying to get some ready for the a bit of a just private plow day we're gonna have this spring out here in the garden with a bunch of friends and garden tractors. So I want to have some plow tractors ready, because usually our tractors are the only ones that do most of the plowing, because I own most of the plows, and then everyone else we get set up on cultivators and disc and stuff. But yeah, so that's all the wheel horses. There will probably be more to come in the future, I'm sure, but I believe there's 8 of them sitting there. So at some point I'll get out and start a bunch of these. Not all of these run. The round hood runs. 700 was running, but we replaced the fuel pump, and I'm going to try and get it running today. Charger 12 has a charging issue, ironically. 10 runs great, 12 runs great. You guys then know these three are kind of the projects that we need to work on. So that being said, thank you guys for watching, and feel free to comment some ideas. I'd be happy to get out some of the other tractors too. I know it's been a long time since we've done a collection video, and I need to get out some of these other ones here and work on them, but that'll be another video.